What I've tried to do is pick out for you what I consider to be 4 very simple lessons of what it takes to either lead a turnaround or change in general. But I wouldn't start that without saying that if you don't understand the situation in which any business you're involved in finds itself, first and foremost, then you're going to find the rest of the change agenda particularly difficult. But the ones I'm going to use today are all pretty much related to the UK. So four simple lessons to share. And the first one is always the easiest to say and the hardest to do. The first and probably the most important thing, and I use the words very deliberately, is some brutal objectivity. It's always the case that a business that finds itself in trouble finds it very difficult to objectively face into the fact of why it's in that position. I don't have time to take you through all the things that we did and all the ways that we did it. But one of the abiding mantras for all of this, which, by the way, was going back to what Tesco had historically done very well, was put the customer back at the heart of all the decision-making. The second bit that I would say is, okay, now you understand. How do you then craft a competitive strategy? You will find in lots and lots of strategies and teachings this idea of capability building. I'm not at all interested. Capability building, very important. But capability building is not competitive strategy. Right? So the thing that we talked about a lot in this particular case is how do you look at capabilities and identify those 1, 2, maximum 3 differentiating competencies in your business on which you can build a competitive strategy. What do you have to be better than anybody else at in order to drive that change and drive that turnaround? And that's much harder than just adding capability to an organization. The other 2 things about leading change, and this is the one where sort of culture matters and situation matters particularly, is everybody talks about leadership. Everybody talks about leadership, and for good reason. But actually, the most important thing is followership. There's a great book that Jenkins wrote about why should anybody be led by you? Why should anybody follow you? I worked in this business for a while. It was a great business. Why should I now follow you when actually you're either new or you didn't know where we came from? There can be many reasons. But actually, if you want to lead change, you've got to recruit people with you, right? And keep asking yourself that question is, why would somebody follow you when you're trying to change the business? So lastly, as the thing starts to flash, is how do you make sure it's sustainable? So you've realized the problem, you've set a competitive strategy, you've got people to follow you. It is my opinion that it's always possible to improve a business for a very short amount of time. Right? Most businesses you can do that for. The critical thing is, do they stay successful afterwards? Have you built real sustainability into them?